So, what do you want to do?
Hey there, deep divers. Ready to dive into a world of soul symphony?
Soul and a voice.
Yeah, a voice that could melt glaciers.
Absolutely.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the life and music of
The one
and only Barry White.
Barry White.
If you're a fan, get ready to rediscover the magic.
Yeah.
And if you just discovered him, well, buckle up. By the way, if you enjoy this deep dive, please hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments.
Let us know.
What's so captivating about Barry White is that his life story is almost as epic as his music.
It really is.
We're talking about a man who rose from the streets of South Central LA to become a global icon of love and soul.
Global icon.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we know him for those incredible love songs, that unmistakable voice.
Unmistakable.
But it wasn't always smooth sailing for Barry White, was it? What was his life like before the fame?
His early life was, to put it mildly, turbulent.
Turbulent.
Yeah, we're talking gang involvement, even a stint in jail as a teenager.
Wow.
It was a far cry from the world of romantic orchestrations and sold-out stadiums he'd later inhabit.
It's almost hard to imagine, right? This man who became the soundtrack for romance had such a rough start.
Yeah.
And speaking of that voice,
Yeah.
it's legendary.
The legendary.
But did you know it wasn't always that way?
It's true. You wouldn't believe it, but Barry White's childhood voice was described as quite high-pitched.
Really?
Then, seemingly overnight, at the age of 14, his voice transformed into that deep,
Into that.
resonant baritone we all know and love.
Wow.
Apparently, his own mother was stunned by the change.
Wow. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
It's like puberty hit him with a sonic boom. But amidst the chaos of his youth,
Yeah.
was music always a part of his life?
Music was always there, but not in the way you might expect.
Okay.
He sang in the church choir, listened to his mother's classical records, but his early passions were,
Yeah.
let's say, a bit less harmonious.
A bit less harmonious.
It was actually during his time in jail that music became his lifeline. His path to redemption.
Okay, this has to be a good story.
It is.
What happened in jail that ignited his passion for music?
Picture this. Barry's in jail, feeling lost and uncertain about his future.
Mm-hmm.
One day, he hears Elvis Presley's It's Now or Never playing on the radio.
Oh, wow.
That song hit him hard.
Yeah.
It was a moment of clarity, a realization that he had a choice to make. Continue down a destructive path,
Right.
or embrace music as his saving grace.
It's amazing how a single song can change the course of a life.
It really is.
So Elvis inadvertently became Barry White's musical muse. But even with this newfound passion, breaking into the music industry wasn't easy, was it?
Absolutely not.
No.
His journey to stardom was a long and winding road.
Yeah.
He started behind the scenes, working as a session musician and arranger, soaking up everything he could about the craft of music.
Wow.
He even played drums at the legendary Apollo Theater. He was learning, growing, honing his skills before stepping into the spotlight.
So he was paying his dues, learning the ropes from the ground up.
Absolutely.
But when did he finally transition from behind-the-scenes player to the Barry White we know and love?
He actually formed his own girl group called Love Unlimited,
Oh, really?
featuring his future wife, Gloria James.
Oh, wow.
Their first hit, Walkin' in the Rain with the One I Love, put them on the map and showcased Barry's talent for crafting soulful love songs.
Right.
But even with this success, he was initially reluctant to become a solo artist.
Really. It's hard to believe that the man with that voice was hesitant to share it with the world.
I know.
What convinced him to take the leap?
It took some persuasion from a record executive named Larry Nunez, who recognized the unique power of Barry's voice and presence. Nunez believed in Barry's potential to connect with audiences on a deeply emotional level and convinced him to record his own music.
And thank goodness he did.
Yes.
That decision led to the release of his debut solo album, I've Got So Much to Give, in 1973, right?
That's right.
That's when Barry White truly arrived on the scene.
He did.
It was a groundbreaking moment.
Yes.
That album, with its iconic hit, I'm Gonna Love You, Just a Little More Baby, established his signature sound. The lush orchestral arrangements, the deep velvety baritone, the lyrics that celebrated love and sensuality. He created a world where romance reigned supreme.
He did.
And let's not forget the Love Unlimited Orchestra. They weren't just a backing band. They were an integral part of his sonic landscape.
Absolutely. 40 pieces of pure soul, adding that epic cinematic quality to his music.
Right.
They took those love songs and transformed them into grand, sweeping symphonies of emotion.
And it wasn't just about the romance. Barry White had a unique ability to blend soul, funk, and even disco into his music,
Oh, yeah.
creating something truly special.
Blending genres.
Yeah, he was a musical innovator, blending genres and pushing boundaries. But his music wasn't just about the sound.
Right.
It was about the feeling, the emotion he poured into every note. His music wasn't just for dancing, it was for feeling.
Exactly.
And that's what resonated with audiences worldwide. Barry White's music tapped into a universal longing for love, connection, and intimacy.
Yeah.
He made it okay to embrace those emotions.
Absolutely.
To celebrate the power of love in all its forms.
Yeah.
He was the maestro of love, the voice of romance. And his impact on music and on our collective understanding of love and sensuality is undeniable.
He really is.
But as we delve deeper into his story, we'll see that behind the music, there was a complex man who faced his own share of challenges and triumphs. So we've talked about his music, his rise to fame.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the man behind the music.
Yeah.
Barry White's personal life was just as fascinating, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely it was.
He was a man of intense emotions.
Yeah.
And that definitely came through in his relationships.
It did.
His first marriage was quite young,
Mm-hmm.
and it ultimately didn't last.
Yeah.
But then came Glodian James,
Glodian James.
the lead singer of Love Unlimited.
The lead singer.
Their connection was undeniable, a true love story that played out both on and off the stage.
It really was.
It's like something out of a movie, right? The producer falls for the star singer.
Yeah.
Do you think their relationship influenced his music?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you listen to those songs, you're hearing real emotions, genuine passion.
Right.
They weren't just empty words. They were fueled by a deep connection.
Yeah.
They eventually married and had a family, creating a musical dynasty together.
That's amazing. But fame and the pressures of the music industry can be tough on any relationship.
Oh, for sure.
Did they face any challenges?
Even the most passionate relationships have their ups and downs.
Yeah.
They eventually separated, though they never officially divorced.
Wow.
It's a reminder that life, even for a man who seemed to embody love through his music, is full of complexities.
It's kind of bittersweet, isn't it?
It is.
The man who wrote the soundtrack to Romance had his own share of heartbreak.
Yeah, he did.
But musically, the 1970s were a golden era for Barry White.
They were.
Hit after hit, he was unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
But what about the 80s and 90s? Did his success continue?
The music industry is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And as disco faded, so did some of Barry White's chart dominance.
Right.
But he was never one to fade away.
No.
He kept touring, experimenting with new sounds, and proving that he was more than just a disco-era icon.
That's resilience. He could have easily just retired on his hits,
Yeah,
but he kept pushing forward.
exactly. He was a true artist,
Right.
always evolving and seeking new ways to express himself.
Yeah.
And his influence was undeniable.
Mhm.
Think about Lisa Stansfield's mega hit All Around the World. She dedicated that song to Barry White.
Wow, that's incredible. She was a huge fan.
She was.
And they even recorded a duet version of the song later on.
They did, later on.
It shows the level of respect he earned from fellow musicians.
Absolutely.
He was a pioneer and inspiration to countless artists across genres.
Yeah, across genres.
But even as his music continued to touch lives, Barry White faced another challenge: his health.
His health, right.
He struggled with his weight and high blood pressure for many years. It
Mhm.
must have been difficult for him to maintain his energetic stage presence while dealing with those health issues.
It was.
Yeah.
There were times when he had to perform sitting down.
Wow.
And sadly, not everyone understood the extent of his struggles, but
Right.
even through those challenges, his spirit never wavered.
His music was about resilience.
Yes.
About overcoming obstacles, and he lived that message in his own life.
He did.
In fact, he had one last incredible comeback in the late 90s.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
In 1999, he released his final album,
Mm-hmm.
Staying Power. It went gold
It did.
and earned him his first 2 Grammy Awards. It's
Yeah.
almost like the title was prophetic,
It is.
a testament to his ability to endure and continue creating beautiful music.
Beautiful music.
It's a beautiful way to end his recording career, isn't it?
It
Leaving on a high note, proving that his music had true staying power.
is. It is.
But sadly, his health continued to decline.
Yeah,
And in 2003, the world lost a musical legend.
we did. A tremendous loss. But his legacy continues to inspire and uplift people all over the world.
It does.
His music transcends time and trends.
Right.
It's about that deep human need for love, connection, and the power of music to touch our souls.
And that brings us to one of the most surprising chapters in the Barry White story.
Surprising?
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
It involves sharks.
Sharks?
Well, okay, you've got me hooked. Sharks and Barry White. I have to hear this.
You're not going to believe this, but Barry White's music was actually used in a London aquarium
Oh, wow.
to try and encourage their sharks to mate.
What?
Apparently, they thought those deep, resonant tones, the smooth rhythms,
Yeah.
might just put the sharks in the mood for love.
Seriously. So they're playing Can't Get Enough Your Love, Babe, for a tank full of sharks,
Well,
hoping for some underwater romance.
hoping for some underwater romance.
That's wild. Did it work?
Well, the results were inconclusive, but it speaks to the primal power of his music, wouldn't you say? Even sharks, it seems, can't resist the allure of Barry White.
That's just incredible. It makes you wonder, what is it about his music that touches us so deeply, across species even?
I think it goes beyond just the sound. It's the emotion, the sincerity in his voice. It's the way he celebrates love, connection, the beauty of human relationships.
Right.
He creates a world where love is always possible, where vulnerability is strength, and where passion is something to be cherished.
It's like his music gives us permission to feel those things deeply,
Right.
to embrace the full spectrum of human emotion. And that's a powerful gift, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
And that's why Barry White's music continues to resonate today. It's a reminder that even in a world that can feel cynical and detached,
Yeah.
love is still a powerful force.
Right.
He reminds us that it's okay to be romantic, to be
Yeah.
vulnerable, to believe in the power of connection.
He was the maestro of love, and his music will continue to touch hearts for generations to come.
It will.
And here's a final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
In a world that often feels divided and disconnected, Barry White's music reminds us of our shared humanity.
Yeah.
It reminds us that no matter our differences, we all crave love, connection, and belonging.
We do.
And perhaps, just perhaps, that's the key to creating a more harmonious world.
A more harmonious world.
That's a beautiful thought. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the incredible world of Barry White.
Barry White.
If you enjoyed this journey, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment below. We love hearing from you, fellow deep divers.
Deep divers.
Until next time, keep exploring.